he's so I don't have words for this book. Cinderella, I have a lot of issues with her personally. This is one of those really good smelling books. Zuzak. This kind of skipped over the cheese. Send me a carrier pigeon. It's not the prettiest on the... but I don't really care. Oh, so good. Kim here, and I decided to bring you my top books read in 2016. Year is ending, and most people are pretty excited about that. 2016 was rough for a lot of people, myself included. I mean, I'm not like, yeah, the year's over, but you know, 2016 was rough. I will give you that. It was rough politically, it was rough personally, it was, you know, it's been a rough year. But I read some really amazing things this year, so I'm gonna share it with you. Disclaimer, nothing I read was released this year. I think a lot of them are really old, some are really, really old, some are a little old, but I don't think that any of the books I'm going to talk to you about today were released this year. There may have been one. I'm gonna have to double check on it. Let's get right into it. All right, I'm gonna start with Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Yes, this is an old retired library book that I bought used, so it's not the prettiest on the... but I don't really care. I really, really loved this. I was expecting to kind of like it. I heard good things about it. I love the idea of a science fiction twist on Cinderella, which is not my favorite fairy tale to begin with, so that's why I put off reading this for so long. I'm gonna be honest with you. Cinderella, I have a lot of issues with her personally, and that is for reasons that I will one day get into. I adored this book. I loved everything that Meyer did with it. The writing was great, the story was great, the characters were great, the pacing was fantastic. Yeah, I really loved it. Like I said, it's a retelling of Cinderella in which Cinderella's name is Cinder, and she is a cyborg mechanic, like in New Beijing, so it's set in the future. It's, guys, like, it's so cool. You have to read it if you haven't. I don't know if there's anybody that hasn't, that's watching this that hasn't read this, but please give it a try, because I was really surprised with how much I loved it. Next up, The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. This book did things to me. It gave me all the thoughts and feelings. It ruined me a little. It traumatized me, but in all the best ways possible. The heater came on, it is so loud. The first thing I have to tell you about this book is its amazing perspective. The story is told from the point of view of Death. Like, Death is watching this girl who steals books. That alone makes this book phenomenal. To sum up, the book is about Liesel, who during, you know, World War II, horrible, sad awfulness of World War II, she gets adopted by this couple. She finds books. She finds, you know, and it is gut-wrenching and traumatic and sad, but beautiful. It is so beautiful. I am so sad I waited so long to read this. I am so glad I finally did. Oh, it's so good. Next, I want to talk about a reread I did. I just mentioned it in my, I don't know. I just mentioned it in a recent video, but Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I'm still obsessing over this. I still want to do a discussion video on it. Maybe, I don't know. It might kill it for me to get too, like, academic about it, but oh, you guys, Holden he kills me. Like, oh, when he's so, I don't have words for this book, as you can tell. The story follows Holden, who's just been kicked out of prep school right before the Christmas winter holiday, and before he goes home to, like, face the music with his parents, he kind of goes on this really lonely, soul-searching walkabout about New York City. It's so great. Storytelling is fantastic. The themes and the, like, just sort of overall feeling of this book just rips my heart right out. A lot of people don't like this book, and I can't understand why. Holden is sometimes an unlikable character. I didn't find him unlikable. I found a lot of relatable things about him, even though he's like whiny, angsty teenager. We were all that kid once, so I feel like it's relatable that way. Love it or hate it, it's fantastic. I read a really great indie book this year. I read a lot of indie books. I'm trying to read more, being an indie writer and all. There was one I read though that I really thoroughly enjoyed and want to talk about because I wanted to get some exposure and I want people to read it. Revelations Far From Earth by Robert J. Hamilton. This is the first book in the series. I'm not sure how many, if he's doing 2 or 3 or however many, but I really liked it. If you are a fan of Star Trek, you will love this book. I really got that Star Trek vibe without the cheesiness, because Star Trek can get really cheesy. This doesn't though. I felt like this kind of skipped over the cheese and just kind of brought you the science fiction adventure. It is about a crew on a spaceship that basically accidentally gets sucked into a wormhole and like shot out into the universe, like so far beyond anywhere even imaginable. And they basically have to figure out how to get home because it is so far that like they won't make it back because it will take too long. They'll just all die. Yeah, it's got some cool themes. Unfortunately, it does have that little bit of like an indie feeling to it. A lot of times when you read an indie book, you kind of like have this sort of smell in your mind of, yeah, it's almost there, but it's an indie book, so it kind of just feels slightly amateurish. This one only had the teeniest hint of that. So I really would recommend it. The pacing was almost a little too fast for me, and I think that's what kind of made me get that indie feeling from it. But other than that, I really liked it. I'm gonna read the next one when it comes out. This got, the 5 stars on all the stuff. So please check out Robert J. Hamilton's Revelations Far From Earth if you're looking for an indie read. Just science fiction fun. It's great. Another, I guess, popular book I read this year was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Oh man, did this book give me thoughts and feelings. Like, holy crap. I actually took a really long time to read this book because I didn't want it to end. Like, I dragged out the last 4 or 5 chapters just because, like, I didn't want it to end. I read it so slow towards the end because I wanted it to keep going and going and going. I didn't want to finish it. Like, I wanted the story to just keep going. It is so cool, you guys. The story follows 2 magicians who are pitted against each other in a competition, and the venue for this competition is this wonderful, magical, whimsical circus that is in all black and white, and it only appears at night, and you never know where it's gonna be. Like, it travels around and all this stuff, and it is so cool. It is awesome storytelling. It doesn't quite go in the right timeline. Like, it jumps around a little, like it's like the 2 magicians, and then it talks about in the future a little bit, and so it follows different character storylines flawlessly. It has beautiful characters. It is so magical and beautiful and wonderful. It's like one of my top 5 favorite books of all time right now. Like, I think this is gonna be a favorite for the rest of my life. I'm even already considering rereading it. It hasn't even been a year yet, so that tells you, like, I love it so much. So, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Alright, the last book I have to talk about for best reads in 2016 is Smoke and Mirrors by Neil Gaiman. This is a collection of short stories first published in like 2005, so it's a little bit older. This is one of those really good smelling books. So it's a collection of short stories. Some of them are really disturbing. They're all Neil Gaiman, cool. Like, he's just cool. He's like the coolest of the cool kids. Neil Gaiman. He never lets me down, and I feel like I say that every time I mention him. So many cool stories in this. Some of my favorites, let's see. Troll Bridge, about a guy that finds a troll at a bridge. Chivalry is about a lady that buys the Holy Grail in a thrift store. Changes, I think it's Changes. One about a pill that cures cancer but changes your gender if you take it. Holy thought-provoking. This was great. Like, this one got marked a lot and it got really beat up because this was one that I kind of carried around in my purse for a while afterwards and had to just keep looking at. Like, it's so great. So awesome. If you're looking for some cool, twisted, short stories, great ideas, that kind of thing, pick this up. It was great. Smoke and Mirrors, Neil Gaiman. Alright, those are my favorite books that I read in 2016. Please tell me in the comments down below or on Twitter or wherever you want. Send me a carrier pigeon, I don't know, about your favorite books so that I can have new favorite books in 2017. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. You guys are so great. I love this community. Again, please tell me what books were your favorites in 2016 and your thoughts on these. If you loved them, if you hated them, let me know. Thumbs up the video, subscribe for more, please, and thank you.